Biden bad news, Joe Biden's disaster has finally arrived. Last week, Joe Biden mistakenly took the name of the country Vladimir Putin occupied, saying the Russian dictator was overthrown in Iraq, not Ukraine. A number of high-profile crimes have recently put President Joe Biden's talent under scrutiny. Last week, Joe Biden was named after the country Vladimir Putin erroneously invaded, where the Russian dictator fell in Iraq, not Ukraine. Biden answered a reporter's question about Putin, hard to say. But he clearly lost the war in Iraq. He won the war at home. He has become an international villain. The other day, Biden said, if someone told you, which my staff isn't sure about, that we can get all the European countries together against Iraq and form the full NATO, I think they'll tell you. It's not like. One of Putin's plans is to divide NATO. The White House is trying to make this mistake as an example of Biden's joke to reporters, but the pool reporter did not remember that he did such a thing. Joe Biden's blunder. June. Biden said in early June that his administration plans to build a railroad between the Pacific and Indian Oceans. We are planning to build a railroad across the Pacific Ocean to cross the Indian Ocean. We are planning to build one of the world's largest solar power plants in Angola. I could go on, but I'll leave the letter, and Biden said, I'm going to get in trouble. It went out of context, saying, God save the Queen, man. While many journalists have done a good job this week reporting the president's confusion about Russia's invasion of Ukraine, journalism as a whole evades the obvious question without feeling good about it. Can't. It's like, is Biden right? Wrote The Hill writer Beckett Adams. Because the Iraq/Ukraine blunder is not an isolated incident, nor is it an unfair question. These are just a few of Biden's strange, confusing, and often incomprehensible statements that describe his administration. Denies. The Biden team has long denied that the president has had a bad experience. During the campaign, the Biden campaign brought him in for an interview with his doctor, Politico, who operated on him for a brain aneurysm in 1988, at which time he denied there was a problem. As smart as 31 years ago. I don't see any change, said Dr. Neil Castle, who now teaches neurosurgery at the University of Virginia, told Politico. I can tell you with certainty that there is no brain hemorrhage or damage from surgery. No damage. Earlier this year, White House physician Kevin C. O'Connor wrote that he found no signs of dementia during his final exam. The intelligence to become president, an issue that will be a cause for concern in the 2024 election cycle. His work has been featured in the American People, National News, Global Research, The Daily Telegraph, Red Alert Politics, CNSnews.com, The Daily Caller, People's Events, Newsmax, American Observer, Townhall.com, and Crisis Magazine. He also served as the managing editor of The Gazette, a daily newspaper with a circulation of 100,000 in Philadelphia, and was awarded the Pennsylvania Associated Press Editor-in-Chief First Prize for his reporting. Zelensky wants these planes because he knows that Ukraine is comfortable in the air. As the occupation developed, the Ukrainian people, buildings, and infrastructure came under fire from Russian missiles. Ukrainian Foreign Minister Dmytro Kuleba explained how F-16s or similar aircraft can contribute to air defense, reduce casualties and protect the ground. But they didn't come right away. Biden and Sullivan also rejected the former U.S. general's proposal for a no-fly government overseen by NATO, starting in western Ukraine to protect civilians tested in the airstrike. While the risks are real, safe zones similar to previous operations in Iraq, Bosnia and Libya will save many lives and prevent refugees from escaping. They still can. Biden's argument then and now is that, in addition to the massive U.S. arms shipments, intelligence sharing and aid, such intervention could be seen as an increase from Russian President Vladimir Putin. At first glance this seems logical, but still very careful. Putin and his allies Dmitry Medvedev and Sergei Lavrov are good at playing with the fears of the West. They made serious threats when there was new information about aid to Kyiv, sometimes involving nuclear weapons. Biden should listen to Antony Blinken. The foreign minister has seen a pattern over the years. Kremlin warnings of retaliation and direct attacks rarely work in practice. Russians are out of breath but mostly rowdy. Putin is not completely stupid. He knew he could never win a war with NATO, let alone surviving a nuclear war. Another pattern is here: Biden's long decision. Continued tensions last year caused delays in the delivery of Stinger anti-aircraft missiles, Patriot turrets, long-range missiles, and the M1 Abrams main battle tank, all of which were finally delivered. European allies like Germany used the White House to prove they were slow. These prejudices may have made the war unnecessary for a long time. The F-16 U-turn, approved at the Group of Seven meeting in Hiroshima last week, paves the way for training Ukrainian pilots and NATO allies to deliver the fourth-generation aircraft. But this is Biden shaking all the time. The United States itself did not undertake to supply the aircraft. If so, it is unclear whether they will be new F-16 models with the latest weapons.